What the heck? Where am I? Where's the bathroom? It was cheap, quiet, and had a strange charm. This place has its secrets, he said, eyes twinkling. By the time everything was put away, the sun had begun to set. Feeling a little hungry, Yusef left the apartment to explore the neighborhood and grab something to eat. The air was thick with the smell of spices and the sound of vendors hawking their wares. After satisfying his hunger, Yusef returned home. The solitude was comforting. He sat down to write, but the words refused to come. Soft at first, like the tap of a fingernail against wood. But then it grew louder, insistent, demanding. The knocking stopped abruptly. The walls were covered in crimson wallpaper, faded and peeling in places to reveal the crumbling plaster beneath. It was the sound of madness, of souls consumed by the darkness within the walls. Some rooms don't belong to this world. I'm the narrator. And thank you for watching. See you next time. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Yusef remained trapped in the room that wasn't there. His screams echoing in the dead of night, unheard and unanswered. A lone chair sat in the center of the room, and opposite it, set into the wall, was a mirror. The voices were gone, replaced by an oppressive silence. Yusef blinked, trying to clear his vision. But the longer he stared, the more the details of the room swam before his eyes. He rubbed his forehead, feeling a sudden wave of dizziness. When he looked back, the chair was closer now, almost as if it had moved. Taking a step back, he realized the room was spinning. The mirror shimmered. The wallpaper seemed to writhe like a living thing. Nausea rose in his throat. He stumbled, catching himself on the nearest wall. The wallpaper tore under his touch, revealing a sickly yellow substance beneath. The air grew thick, making it hard to breathe. The smell of decay filled his nostrils. Fear coiled in his stomach, squeezing tight. He needed to get out, to escape the suffocating room. But as he turned to flee, he found the door had vanished. In its place was only a blank, unadorned wall. Desperation clawed at him, hot and heavy. He pounded on the wall, his knuckles cracking and bleeding. But it was no use. It was as solid as stone. Turning back, he saw the chair had moved again. It was closer now, perilously close. The mirror behind it reflected his own terrified face, his eyes wide with fear, his lips parted in a silent scream. His own reflection blinked slowly, as if mocking his terror. The chair creaked and Yusef recoiled, expecting to see it move again. But it remained still, gathering what little strength he had left. He took a step forward. The mirror wobbled, its reflection wavering. Then, as if reaching out to him, the words began to form on the glass. He leaned closer, straining to read them. "You shouldn't have opened the door," the words hissed, their message a venomous whisper. Yusef wanted to scream, to plead for help, but no sound escaped his lips. He slumped to the floor, defeated, knowing in that moment that he was truly trapped. Then came another voice, this one closer, more urgent. "Open the door," it urged. "It's time." Fear pulsed through Yusef, cold and sharp like a blade. He wanted to call out, to ask who was out there, what they wanted, but no sound came out. His throat was dry, his body frozen in a vice of terror. He could feel his heart hammering against his ribs, a trapped bird desperate to escape its cage. He could hear the second voice now, closer, more urgent. "Open the door," it urged. "It's time." With shaking hands, Yusef got out of bed and walked toward the door. His mind screamed at him to run, to hide, to do anything but what his body was compelled to do. As he stood before the door, the urgency in the voices grew. They were almost a roar now, deafening. "Open the door," they shouted. "Let us in." Yusef's hand trembled as he reached for the doorknob. What he felt was not cold metal, but something warm and yielding like flesh. Panic surged through him. He wanted to pull back, to scream, but he couldn't move. His arm was stuck, glued to the doorknob. With a final ear-splitting crash, the door swung open. Thoughts of the strange door echoed in his mind. Every so often, he would hear muffled voices or laughter coming from the end of the hallway. He tried to focus on his writing, but the sounds grew louder, more insistent. Suddenly, the whispering stopped. Yusef paused, listening intently. Then he heard it again. It was closer now, right outside his door. "Come in," a voice whispered. "We're waiting?" He froze, unsure if he had imagined it. "Come in," the voice whispered again, this time louder. "We're waiting for you." The voice seemed to beckon him, to lure him out of his apartment. Should he investigate? Part of him, the logical part, told him to dismiss it as a figment of his imagination or perhaps some trick of the old building's acoustics. But another part, a smaller but persistent part, urged him to open the door and see what lay beyond. As he approached his apartment, he noticed the intricately carved door was now closed. No one lived at the end of the hall. So why would the door be locked? Curiosity gnawed at him. He knocked lightly. No answer. Then he tried the knob. Locked. It was no use. Yusef shrugged off his unease and went inside. As he stepped out into the warm evening, he noticed the old wooden door at the end of the hallway for the first time. Intricate carvings adorned its surface. It almost looked like it belonged to a different time, a time when Egypt was still ruled by pharaohs and magic was woven into the fabric of everyday life. Or maybe it just looked that way because of the flickering light of the oil lamp. "Oh, and don't use the door at the end of the hallway," Yusef laughed. "There is no door at the end of the hallway." The man just smiled. Not yet. Hassan disappeared into his apartment as quickly as he had appeared, leaving Yusef to wonder what secrets their apartment building held. The ornate plasterwork was flaking off the walls, the wood paneling was scarred with age, and the dim oil lamp hanging from the ceiling did little to illuminate the dusty air. It was perfect for him. He could finally get some writing done without distractions. All the doors along the hallway except his were slightly ajar, and from each crack he could hear muffled sounds of laughter and conversation. Some doors had pictures on them, others were plain, but all of them seemed to hum with a strange energy. Was he being watched? Yusef shook off the thought and continued down the corridor. "Where are my shoes? Who stole my shoes? Hello, is anybody here? Hi, guys, welcome to my channel. If you like scary stories, then please subscribe. I'm going to start reading. Asterisk, asterisk, the room that wasn't he there. Asterisk, 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 asterisk Yusef. Asterisk, asterisk had just moved into an old apartment building in downtown Cairo. His neighbor, an old poet named Hassan, warned him about the building on the first day. He unpacked slowly, the silence broken only by the dripping of water from a leaky pipe somewhere in the walls. As he rounded the corner, his gaze fell upon a peculiar sight. He found food stalls selling fresh pomegranate juice, grilled meats, and sweet coconut candy. As the night deepened, Yusef settled into his new apartment. Then the clock chimed 3:33 a.m. Just as the last note faded into the silence, Yusef heard a knock. Stepping into the unknown, Yusef found himself in a long, narrow room with a single door at the far end. Outside, the neighbors heard his muffled cries, but they ignored them, for they had all heard that sound before. So, yeah, if you ever see a door appear where it shouldn't, don't open it.